reliable people, people that aren't going to be carried away. We're not murdering, in spite of what this undertaker said.
From the award-winning films The Godfather and The Goodfellas to thousands of lesser films and documentaries, organized crime has been so associated with Italians that Italian music and even spaghetti brings an almost instant association with organized crime. In actual fact, Italians constitute only a tiny fraction of organized crime in the Western world. And one of the most shocking of the WikiLeaks cables comes from the American Embassy in Jerusalem. It's titled, Israel, Promised Land of Organized Crime. And it warns American law enforcement agencies about the severe threat of Jewish organized crime to America. Now, I learned about this from a Jewish publication, the Jewish Chronicle, which calls it, quote, a real WikiLeaks shocker. Well, Jews are allowed to know about this shocker, but just about the whole rest of the world doesn't have a clue about it. You won't learn about this on CNN, Fox News, or the BBC. Today, I will discuss the cable detailing extensive Jewish involvement in organized crime and tell you the history of organized crime that you don't learn about in the mainstream media. Today, you will learn the hidden truth about organized crime. The truth the media bosses hide from you. Of the thousands of diplomatic cables embarrassing to the United States, Britain, France, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, and other nations, a number of commentators have noted how few of the hacked diplomatic cables expose Israel and the Zionists. Considering the fact that the hacked cables span the period of the Israeli mass bombing, murder, and maiming of thousands of Palestinians, women, and children, they were from the same time period that included the Israeli forging of European and other passports in violation of international law and the Zionist bloody assassination of Israelis' enemies in third countries. You might wonder why only a few WikiLeaks released cables deal with these major human rights crimes of Israel. Now, some have suggested that WikiLeaks founder, Julian Assange, is in cahoots with the Mossad. Maybe so. The verdict is not out on that yet, but here's what Assange himself said in a recent interview with Al Jazeera TV. Now remember that Assange is no critic of Israel. In fact, he strongly supported Israel in the past. Assange said that only a meager number of files related to Israel had been published so far because the newspapers that paid for exclusive rights to publish the secret documents didn't want to publish damaging information about Israel. I quote, there are 3,700 files related to Israel, and the source of 2,700 files is Israel. In the next 6 months, we intend to publish more files depending on our sources. The Guardian, El País, and Le Monde have published only 2% of the files related to Israel due to the sensitive relations between Germany, France, and Israel. He goes on to say this very revealing statement, quote, even the New York Times could not publish more due to the sensitivities related to the Jewish community in the United States. Consider his words, quote, due to sensitivities related to the Jewish community, they held back thousands of documents on Israel. If you want to know who controls the world's press, here's proof of the real power in the media. The press can publish thousands of WikiLeaks cables that offend the United States, Britain, France, Turkey, Iran, but for God's sake, don't dare offend the Jewish state of Israel. No matter how sensational, no matter how damning these documents are about Israel, you're not allowed to know that most of them even exist. Now notice what was revealed. Documents such as Saudi Arabia supposedly giving the green light for an attack on Iran was on the front pages of the press. Of course, the international media has long had a powerful Jewish influence in both ownership and management of mass media. They showed the American people cables and supposedly build up the case for attacking Iran. But the Jewish-owned New York Times will not allow Americans to see cables from our own government called Israel, Promised Land for Organized Crime, because Americans aren't even allowed to know about the real and present dangers to our country from Israel's gangsters.
All right. Folks, this is what I have been fighting and what I have been up against for the last 20 years, since 1994 actually. I have been up against this type of power, this type of organization, this power, unseen power here, that prints all of your money, that you were made a slave to. Now, this isn't Jew bashing. My God, you know, this is the trick that they use, the accusations of anti-Semitism. This is the trick that they use to keep you in the dark, ignorant, and not understanding what kind of country you live in. The Jewish media, I'll tell you just a quick little story here. You know, if you get a politician out there in the park talking about our great democracy, the cameras are filming, the people are all standing around, and I say, excuse me, sir, what Congress, can you tell me what year it was? When did what Congress voted to change our constitutional form of republic into a communistic democracy? And, you know, it's a strange phenomenon. The politician shuts up and disappears. The cameramen turn their cameras off, and people are standing around going, what happened? What just happened? What happened? This is the programming of the media, democracy, globalization, global government, global economy. And this is the IMF, the UN, the League of Nations, the whole plan that was put together in the protocols of the elders of Zion. Read it. It'll tell you exactly what they're doing today. And your rabbis and your Judeo-Christian preachers are leading you like sheep to a slaughter. And when somebody like me stands up and tries to tell you the truth, I get attacked from all angles. I get attacked from the trolls. I get attacked by the Jews. I get attacked, people, and the people in the so-called patriot movement are telling me, oh, well, you're a Jew. You must be a Jew. You don't think all Jews are bad. No, I don't. You know, I judge people by their actions. And, you know, I know that there were some good Jews out there. Aaron Russo, I'm not going on this kill all the Arabs, kill all the Mexicans, kill all the blacks, kill all the Jews. I'm not doing that. I'm not calling for that. I'm telling you that we have to figure out how to live in harmony together. And we need to be able to step out of this whole system that's rigged. This is a rigged game. This is a rigged game. Patriots are putting me down. I just had somebody on my show today that, oh, well, he's trying to put down Anthony Hilder. Now, Anthony Hilder is a friend of mine. He's a filmmaker. He's featured me in his films. He's filmed me. And I've sold his films. So suddenly this guy wants to talk about some sexual encounter Anthony had with some woman in Hawaii. My God. This guy wanted to put him down. So suddenly it was me. That, well, we want me. I'll expose you. You know, Peter Egbert, who was your cameraman, didn't think he made enough money off of you, and you're still making money off of Kim and Anthony Hilder. Well, this happened. You know, all this is distraction. Ted Gunderson. He tried to put Ted Gunderson down. He tried to put Anthony Hilder, and then he wanted to expose me for what? Trying to defend the Constitution. This is what we get in the chat rooms in here. We get trolls coming in. Oh, yeah, you old fart. Yeah, I'm 65 years old, and I can still kick a 24-year-old's ass. Yeah. So what? You know, we're out there fighting for realization of what's happening. Now, you just heard David Duke. He has been demonized probably as much by the press as anybody. Here's a state senator or representative, congressman in Louisiana. Yeah, he was a member of the KKK, so what? You know, what about all of these dual citizens out there that are members of the ADL or Southern Poverty Law supporting them? These are our enemies. Now, he tried to tell you about organized crime. I've told you that the government, the Mossad, and the CIA, they are the organized crime. They are doing this. It's in my book. It's in my book, Mystery Babylon. My book is backed up by Jesse Ventura's book. My book tells you the truth about the drug smuggling, about the Homeland Security. And Homeland Security is run by dual citizens. Why do we have somebody in charge of our security that owes their loyalties to another country? Now, it's starting to happen. It's starting to happen right now. A CIA officer is talking about what's happening here. CIA counterterrorism officer Philip Giraldi says Israel conducts more espionage against the United States than any other U.S. ally. The former CIA officer explained to a Press TV reporter in Washington how Israel steals both technologies and secrets from the U.S. and sells them to other countries. An example, the Chinese Chengdu Jet J-10 has been built with technologies that originally came from the U.S. This despite the fact that Israel relies heavily on the U.S. for political and military support. It would almost be seen as an act of war. And folks, this is what I've been telling you. I've been telling you this for 20 years and being demonized as being anti-Semitic. Giraldi also said, made a reference to the strong influence the Israeli lobby is allowed to exercise in Washington. The ex-CIA officer, who is currently the executive director for the Council of the National Interest Foundation, has authored the report, The Spy Who Loved Us. In the report, Giraldi has sought to expose the dangers and costs that the Israeli espionage poses for the U.S. According to the report, almost all U.S. government bodies, including the FBI and General Accountability Office, have confirmed that Israeli espionage continues to take place. In a 2010 interview with Press TV, Giraldi said many of these state agencies are actually Israeli companies that are working in line with the U.S. government. Folks, when they tried to kill me, it was the Israeli companies, Amdocs, and one other one that was tapping my phones. They were the ones that arranged the accident. They were the ones that controlled the medical facilities, that have been incarcerating and keeping people in medical facilities. Oh, well, he's crazy. He thinks there's a conspiracy. He must be crazy. We have to put him in here and rehabilitate him. That's what they tried to do to me. That's what they did to Mark Taylor. And by the way, Mark Taylor's mother and lawyer will be on my show tomorrow. And we'll be talking about how well Mark's doing without the drugs that they've had him on. Let me see what Giraldi's got to say.
Counterterrorism officer Philip Giraldi is on a mission. He says he wants to expose how costly and dangerous Israeli espionage is to the United States.
Israel steals technology, steals secrets from the United States.
Giraldi is the executive director of the Council for the National Interest Foundation, which just released a 12-page overview written by Giraldi called The Spy Who Loves Us. He says Israel conducts more espionage against America than any other U.S. ally.
It should almost be seen like an act of war.
Giraldi says Israel profits from selling U.S. technology.
It gets really serious when Israel uses these technologies and sells them to countries that are not friendly to the United States. I would cite the example of a Chinese jet, the J-10, which was built with a lot of technology that came originally from the United States.
Giraldi says Israeli spying has bankrupted some American companies.
I'll get phone calls from people actually who worked for companies that went out of business because Israel had stolen their technology and done that sort of thing, and the company goes bankrupt.
According to his report, virtually all U.S. government bodies, including the FBI and General Accountability Office, have confirmed that Israeli espionage takes place. And while collecting intelligence is part of the function of government, Israel crosses the line. Giraldi says the intensity and persistency of Israel's spying is particularly disturbing, considering how dependent Israel is on America's political and military support.
Well, it will only change when the politics change. And the politics have to change in a way that the United States, for one reason or another, begins to see Israel just like we see every other country, Italy, Germany, France, and treat them the same way. But as long as Israel has a special relationship, which is backed up by Congress and backed up by the media, it won't change.
Giraldi says Israeli lobbies have too much power in Washington. Giraldi has written about Israeli espionage for the American Conservative. He also has a regular column in the magazine called Deep Background. Rhonda Pence, Press TV, Washington.
All right. Here's some other news for you. The Colorado lawyer who defended Edgar Steele in his murder-for-hire case has been disbarred. Now, remember, Edgar Steele was the attorney for the Aryan Nations for Richard Butler, and of course he was attacked and set up and framed here and put into prison. His attorney, now Robert T. McAllister, agreed this week to give up his law license after he acknowledged misusing client funds on 2 occasions unrelated to Steele's case, according to a document signed in the Colorado Supreme Court. And bullshit, he got paid for doing Steele's case and sold him down the river. A deal between him and the judge got the judge $10,000 or more in payments for getting a guilty plea, and they put him in. I'll ask Wesley Hoyt about that tomorrow. And let's see what else we've got here. We had something from Veterans Today I wanted to share with you. They are starting. They're really starting to. Gordon Duff is really starting to get out there. Yeah, I had the story on Israeli espionage in the U.S. Just to continue this. This is from Veterans Today, and they're talking about Giraldi. Over 125 investigations into Israeli espionage in America stopped due to political pressure. FBI counterintelligence officer John Cole. Now, Giraldi stepped out to do his country a great service and save some honor for the American counterintelligence community. He put the spotlight on America's greatest national security scandal, the decades-old investment that Israeli intelligence has made in attacking its so-called American ally by stealing everything it can get its hands on. But there's a darker side of this first betrayal, and that's their corruption of our own political justice and State Department organs to literally act as protectors for them. As a group, they have betrayed the American people, and those involved should receive long prison sentences for high treason. Why would they do this, you ask? The reasons are many. If you wanted to get Congressman Weiner, you could supply him a stable of talk dirty to me girls, liven up his boring daytime job, while his colleagues are sitting over there playing solitaire, while they're supposed to be running your business. Others may want political donations or a government job career enhancement, so they can be put in better and better positions where they can provide more important information. The communists used this tactic in the Roosevelt administration. And then there are those who are thinking about their second careers. Many American spies for Israel, especially government officials, prefer the ever-popular deferred compensation program. Once they've left government service, say after tweeting some porn around, they want a soft landing in a nice high-paid think tank job. Instead of whipped cream on their ice cream sundae, they can ask for some Israeli or American defense contractor directorships, or they can even continue spying for Israel by lobbying their former congressional buddies for classified info that will guarantee them a good slot down the road. Have any of you ever heard of a top American government official warning Americans to be on the lookout for Israeli espionage here, or familiarizing them with their most used recruiting tactics? No, you haven't. They are not allowed to do that, thus making a mockery of their oaths of office. It's a great tragedy and irony that Anthony Weiner's congressional career will soon be over, when the safest crime in America these days is spying for Israel, especially if you're in the Congress, Pentagon, or the White House. Our sources, says Veterans Today editor John Dean, that the FBI counterintelligence agents are ordered not to open espionage investigation cases on high government officials, simply because they simply will not prosecute them. The Israelis are ahead of the curve. They were smart enough to know that there would be loyal American government security people which would attempt from time to time to break up some of these top penetration networks. They made sure that these investigations would go nowhere, and you can take that all the way down from Kennedy to 9/11 to Waco, everything else. That's right, folks. Foreign terrorists don't have the juice to block their prosecutions, but an enemy force right here called Israel, that we financially subsidize, does. And they still demand that our own people on the public payroll system, I think the word they use for it is chutzpah. To them, you are chumped, both to the Israelis and those selling you out to them. Brother Giraldi will fill you in on the details. After his long CIA career, he has never been tagged as a conspiracy theorist, and he is well respected in the community. When you contact your Congress critter, be sure to ask him why he or she has never made an inquiry into why no major Israeli intel network has ever been broken up in America. Ask him if part of the problem might be that Congress has been neutralized through campaign bribery, and the rest of us have been left as sitting ducks while they laugh all the way to the bank. Okay, let me see where I'm at here. Okay. All right, we're featured here, folks. Here is a CIA agent echoing what I have been telling you in my books for at least the last year. For this one, Mystery Babylon: The New World Order Unveiled, the Israelite Handbook for True Christians. I don't go to church. I'm not a member of any denomination, but I'm more of a true Christian because I know I'm an Israelite. I know who I am. I know who I am. And the books that I have written, and I've got 3 of them. One Bloody Alabaster Eye about nuclear terrorism. Fiction, but based on all of the research that I've done for all of these books for the last 20 years. And what I'm getting here, what I'm having done, what's happening to me right now is people are coming after me in every direction. They're trying to end my career. They're trying to destabilize me, trying to get me to commit suicide by running all of my family off, by killing $1 million deals. All they did is take some land. It cost them. It cost them a little bit. But I'm still here, and I'm still writing, and I'm still doing this show every day. The people that are talking to you, that I just played here, and the articles that I'm reading that are in Veterans Today are telling you the same thing that I've been telling you. This isn't about bashing Jews, and it's the Jews that are coming in and going, well, you're protecting the Jews. You don't think all Jews are bad. Yeah, I had breakfast with a Jewish lady. I know her husband, know him for years. And no, I don't think she's bad. And no, I'm not going to allow her to go get rounded up and put into some concentration camp because she's Jewish, any more than I want to allow you white folks, or you white Christians out there that have been deluded by the Judeo-Christian religions. Well, they're a 501c, so they can't talk about that. It's the methods of control that are put on you, and I am probably one of your only sources that is not controlled. That is not controlled. FreeAmerican.com. Now look, I'm not hiding. I've delivered my magazines into the FBI office. I've interviewed and opened to interview and done stories on all of these people. I've got their documents. I've put their documents in my book. People that want to do right, reach out to other people that want to do right. Now that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. There is an answer to these banking scams because they're doing it for energy. They made alcohol illegal. They made your ancestors into bootleggers and moonshiners. They've tried to make people like me that would prefer to smoke a joint than drink a beer. They've tried to make me into a criminal. Did, long time ago. And because I've been fighting this kind of thing for 40 years, you can now smoke some pot in California or Arizona or Oregon without going to jail for it. And that has to be rolled around too. Hemp is a #1 cash crop of America in the 1900s. They stole it from you. They stole it from you. They stole it from your ancestors. They stole it from your children. And they're trying to make you into a criminal, or your children into criminals, because this is the game. This is, and it's covered up the same way they did here in the United States when they were murdering 60 million white Russians. It can't happen here. This is America. It can't happen here. Yes, it can. Yes, it is. It is happening here. We have more people in prison in America than any other country in the world. If we don't, and we're also being killed. Did you? I mean, if I don't know if we can get it. I don't know if it's going to be up. I had the interview earlier. The guy's even trying to put down Anthony Hilder for talking about chemtrails because he didn't believe in chemtrails. He didn't believe in what a friggin' idiot. What a friggin' idiot this guy was. Wanted to trash me. Wanted to trash Anthony Hilder. Wanted to trash Ted Gunderson. Patriots have been fighting this battle for the last 20 years. This is because we are at war. And you got people posting as patriots coming after other patriots. What is the sense in that? We're all trying to restore the Constitution. Supposedly, we're all trying to restore the Constitution. But Alex Jones won't talk to you about Jews because his wife's Jewish. His children are Jewish. So he's got a vested interest. If you're Jewish and you want to move to Israel, no problem. If you want to be Jewish and support Israel while picking the pockets of the American people, no, that ain't right. That's called theft. And that has to be stopped. That's where we are. But, Clay, you're just anti-Semitic. You just don't like Jews. No, I don't like criminals. I don't like thieves. I don't like liars. I don't like the people, whoever it was, whatever race they were, that stole our nuclear technology, that are stealing our technology right now. And the Israelis are working right there on White Sands Missile Range with the airborne laser that was probably used to blow up the Gulf rig, the oil rig. And that was an attack on our food supply the same way the taxation was an attack on the Ukrainian farmers.